All right, looks like it's 10 a.m., so we'll go ahead and get started here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nathan Esposito. I'm a strategic advisor here at Acropolis Technology Group. I've been here at Acropolis for about 8 years, and in the IT industry for, over 15 years now. So I've held a lot of technical roles and eventually moved into a strategy role like this. I've always had kind of a passion for technology and for security, which is part of the reason for doing this webinar on Mimecast. So we'll get started here shortly. Please, as you think of questions throughout the webinar, go ahead and use the Q&A tab there to ask that question, and I will get to those at the end of the webinar. If for whatever reason you can't use that tab, you can always send an email. I'll go ahead and monitor my email so that we can ask questions through that as well at the end. So that said, let's go ahead and get started. First off, just a little general background on Mimecast. A lot of folks kind of, don't really understand kind of the nuts and bolts of what's happening behind the scenes. So I'll just give you a little primer on what Mimecast is and what it does for you. So why do I need a spam filter? First off here, clearly email provides a direct connection to you. So, you users, the folks that are out there that maybe aren't as technical, spammers know that they can maybe send something through to you that you didn't want to see and put it right in front of your eyes. And you have kind of no choice in the matter. So your spam filter is kind of built to be like a buffer and protect you from that. So whether that's malicious content or just plain old advertising, we'd like to make sure that you're only seeing the messages that you should be seeing or that you'd like to see. So next here is productivity can actually suffer a good bit when you're having to sort through emails and kind of determine what you actually need to work on. No one wants to sort through dozens of emails just to get to the one where they needed to respond to Sally and let her know to send the purchase order through or something like that. So, productivity can suffer in a real big way. We really try to minimize the amount of noise that you get throughout your day. You get enough from, just doing your daily work that you shouldn't have to see that as well in your email. And another big impact on productivity here is obviously the potential here for malware, phishing, viruses, and obviously the real big one is ransomware. Any of these things here can really, obviously cause a big problem for you, cause a big hit to your productivity. I'm sure you guys have all heard about ransomware in the news and how it can really take down, multi-million-dollar organizations, receiving ransomware and being out of commission for several days at a time. That's obviously something we want to protect you from as much as we can. And really, the last statistic said that ransomware is the second most, email is the second most used delivery method for ransomware. So we really want to have good eyes on that and make sure that you're protected from ransomware as best we can. So your spam filter is one of many methods to protect you against that. Next up, so as I said here, Mimecast is meant to be one of many layers of protection. Again, we understand how large of a threat vector email is. So, Mimecast is there. We've even got some other offerings around kind of security awareness training to kind of train users, again, who are maybe not as technical on what they need to look for when, those occasional emails do slip through that shouldn't have. Security awareness training is a good thing for users to have. And that's what this webinar is all about, is empowering you, giving you the tools to be able to manage your email effectively and hopefully maintain productivity and kind of be an expert at how to use these tools. So that said, let's kind of dive into some of the key features of Mimecast. You have to understand that obviously this is a very complex tool. There's a lot going on under the hood there, but we'd like you to at least know kind of the basics of what this tool is doing for you. So first off, probably most obvious here is spam and virus protection. And when I say virus protection, we're talking about filtering attachments and things like that in your email, and preventing them from reaching you in the first place. So you can't click on it, can't open it, can't run that executable. It's not the antivirus that runs on your system to do normal scans and whatnot. This is just a separate component to, again, prevent things from getting through in your attachments. URL protection. So in the event that maybe a spammer sends something and there's no virus in the attachment, there is no attachment, but they send you a little link that you click on and it takes you to a bad website where something's downloaded in the background, and you could potentially get something bad on your system. Mimecast actually goes through and scans those URLs to see, hey, when I click on that link, where is it going to take me? What's going to happen on the other side of that? And if it is something malicious, Mimecast will strip that link out of that email and replace it with a little blurb that says, hey, this link was found to be malicious, and we protected you from it. Email encryption and secure messaging, these two kind of go together. But obviously this day and age, as we kind of work more through the digital transformation and getting things to each other in the digital space instead of hard copies, we want to make sure that, if you're sending something that's really sensitive, whether it's HIPAA compliance or medical records or insurance records, things like that, we have to ensure that gets to that end user on the other side and no one else. So these are two key features to make sure that happens. This is kind of a lesser known feature of Mimecast, but mailbagging or message continuity is a really, really handy tool. So in the event that maybe your Exchange server goes down or Office 365 is having trouble, Mimecast gives you the ability to log into a console and actually view, send and receive emails directly from the Mimecast portal until that Exchange server comes back up. So great little stopgap there for any situations where you're not able to be productive because your email server went down. Mimecast kind of fills that gap until the server comes back up. And finally, and I underline this because I think it's probably the coolest of all the features out here, is targeted threat protection. This is, none of these are new attacks or anything, but you'll see phishing, social engineering, and impersonation attacks. Targeted threat protection is built to protect you against those types of things. So social engineering is when someone kind of garners your trust and gains access to information that they shouldn't. A lot of those requests come through email. Same thing with phishing, where they're trying to get your password or get you to enter some sensitive information into a form or something like that. That's what targeted threat protection protects you against. And the impersonation thing, that's actually something that has become a lot more prevalent these days. If you're not familiar with that, can actually cost you a lot of money. Say, for example, I receive an email, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I receive an email from the president of my company, Tracy Butler. Hey, Nathan, I really need you to get me two $500 gift cards from Target. I can't talk right now. I'm in the middle of a meeting with a big client prospect. If you could just get those cards and send me the numbers on the back, I'll talk to you about it later. I just can't talk right now. This happens all the time. And a lot of folks unfortunately fall for it, and there's really no way to get that money back when it happens. Maybe come to find out later on, you take a closer look at that email address, and it's tbutler@acropolistech.com, but there's 2 I's in Acropolis. And come to find out, someone has impersonated an important person in your company. That is another kind of method that Mimecast can help kind of protect you and save you. So real good stuff happening there. Moving on here, I'd like to give you just an overview of some common user tasks. So some things that you can do on your own without having to call into the service desk to hopefully get you moving along a little faster, and again, to help you understand the product that we've provided for you. So one of those tasks is just how to release an email. This is probably one of the most common things that we get here at Acropolis is folks say, hey, I was waiting on an email. It hasn't come through. I think it might have been blocked. Can you release it for me? So we'd like to show you how to do that for yourself. Also, whitelisting and blacklisting senders, or adding them to your approved or denied list. That's a handy little thing to have there. as well as how to send a secure or encrypted email. And please know that this knowledge is really meant to be a supplement. We're not asking for you to just become an expert on this and never have to reach out for help. If you ever need, additional assistance, or you don't have time, whatever the case may be, we're always here to support you. You can call the Acropolis Service Desk, and we're happy to help you. And if you're not a client, consider being one, and we'll be able to offer all the same protections here that we're talking about today. So I will move on to what I was hoping would be a live demo, but unfortunately, after a little bit of time of putting together a presentation that was a live demo, I very quickly realized that maybe it's not the best thing to display my email live on the internet. So I hate to say it, we've just got a bunch of slides, but I'll try to make them engaging for you. I didn't want to release any confidential information into the wild on accident. So moving on here. The first and easiest way that you can kind of manage your emails is just directly from Outlook. Mimecast has a feature here where you may have received an email. It's usually on a timer, 2 or 3 times per day. You'll receive an email like this, and this is basically saying, "Hey, it's from Acropolis Email Protection. Hey, we've got some emails here that." We weren't, they're not malicious directly, but we weren't sure if you wanted to see them. Maybe it's a newsletter or a mailing list that you signed up for, or maybe it's totally unsolicited. But they give you the option to kind of choose what happens with these emails. And again, they're sent out on a timer, so you're not going to get them right away. You're not going to get this email right away when something was blocked. You're just going to get kind of a group of emails all at once. And so this will list, obviously, the email address that it was from, what the subject line was, why it was blocked, and it gives you some options here, which are explained here. So you could release that email, say, yeah, go ahead and send that through. I'm not sure if I'll want the next one, but go ahead and release it. You could choose to permit that sender. So you say, yeah, oh, that is that email, or I'm sorry, that mailing list I signed up for recently. I definitely want to get those going forward. In that case, you would choose to permit that sender. So all future messages, assuming nothing malicious was in them, would come through directly to your inbox. And then the final option here, obviously, is to block that sender. Like, hey, I never asked for any of this stuff. I don't want to hear from these guys again. I will never be interested in what they're selling me. You could click block, and in this case, I clicked block, and your web browser will pop open and say a message has been blocked. And going forward, you're not even going to see that sender in this email that you get from Outlook. So quick, easy, nice way to manage just basic emails from your Outlook. Next, I'll take you through just the basics of how to send a secure email. As I mentioned, maybe you're sending medical records over the internet, you're sending contract information, things that are, passwords even, sometimes, you'll need to send a password to someone, and you want to make sure that it doesn't just sit in someone's Outlook inbox and someone can walk by and see that password. So we make it really easy. Mimecast has a cool feature to where you basically just compose an email, and you put your sender, you put your, the body of the email, everything. The only thing that's different is somewhere in the subject line, you put encrypt in brackets there. So this is the trigger for Mimecast to encrypt that email, so that when the recipient gets that email, they won't see what's in the body of this email. They'll see a message that says, "Hey, Nathan Esposito would like to send a secure message to you. Please log into this portal to view the message." And keep in mind, probably maybe a little over half of our clients have this feature. It's not a baseline feature. It's just an add-on, but we do find that a lot of folks get some good value out of it. Obviously, if that's something that you're not sure that you've got, or you think that you would like to add it on, that you don't have it, reach out to your strategic advisor, call the service desk, and they can put you in touch with the right people to make this happen. So once you've done this, you've click secure message test. I put encrypt in the subject line. You'll receive very shortly afterwards a notification saying, "Hey, you triggered a content policy, and here's the policy: user activated encrypted secure email." And this is basically telling you this worked. You put encrypt in the subject line, and now that message that you sent has been encrypted. And on the other side of this, I guess I should have taken a picture of it, but on the other side of it, again, that recipient receives an email saying, "You've got a secure message, log into this portal to view it." And one step further, which is kind of cool, is you have the ability to even kind of refine what happens to that email on the other side. You might say this message expires in 1 week. So after a week, it's even deleted out of the secure message portal. You could specify that message can't be forwarded or can't be printed. There's a lot that you can do to make sure that, again, that email doesn't leave the hands of just that recipient, that person that you wanted to see it in the first place. All right. So again, that was the basics of working with Mimecast through Outlook. But one step up from that is to actually use the Mimecast Portal. Cool thing about this is you don't have to have any special rights or permissions to be able to use this. As long as you're a client of Acropolis and you're using Mimecast, which most of you are, you would be able to log into this portal and take advantage of these features. So this is the step up. This gives you a little bit more power than the just working with Outlook. So how do you get there? First, obviously, you go to mimecast.com/login. You could just Google Mimecast login. I mean, there's a ton of ways to get there, but it's pretty easy. I recommend bookmarking this page if this is something you would like to use frequently. So once you're here, click access my email, and it'll prompt you for just your plain old email address and password. Once you've logged in, you're going to see this here. And you may or may not have some of these extra features. Really, we're focusing on the Mimecast personal portal. That's where you're going to get kind of the meat of what you're going to be doing as a standard Mimecast user. So once you've logged in, you'll see this. Choose Mimecast personal portal, and it's going to look like this. As you can see, this looks a lot like your typical Outlook. You've got a lot going on here. It's pretty cool. So this, what I'll show you is one, this is your message continuity that we were talking about, or your mailbagging. In the event that your Exchange server goes down or your email's not working properly, you could log into this Mimecast personal portal and send and receive compose emails, reply to emails just as you would from your Outlook. So this is kind of like I was saying, that stopgap if your server ever happens to go down and you need to be able to work in that interim time. You also have the option, as you can see, just to select an email and choose to block sender. Obviously, I kind of grayed out the rest of the emails here because we'd like to make sure those stay secure, but I chose this one because that was back when I used to be able to get haircuts. But please don't block Maria's marketing emails. But so you have the option to just select an email. You could block that sender, so just that person's email address, or you could block the entire domain. So you could say, I don't want to get any emails from anyone at mmem11.com. I'm assuming that's a marketing manager email. But you could block that entire domain. Be careful with, like Yahoo or Gmail accounts. Things, you don't want to block the entire Gmail domain because chances are there's a lot of folks out there that are using a Gmail address that are legitimate. All right, so that's just some of the basics of the Mimecast portal. Here's where we get into the cool stuff. You'll notice over here we've got kind of a menu, and if you click these three dots, these ellipses, that'll open up some kind of advanced features here. And this is where you could view your messages that are on hold. So those emails that you receive at set intervals throughout the day, you could actually see those in here. The personal on hold messages is where you would want to see that. So in this case, I've gone into personal on hold, and I can see tons of messages in here that have been blocked by Mimecast that I could release and view if I wanted to. So I can go through here and just sort through and very quickly use these buttons here to interact with those messages. So if I wanted to just, I want to confirm, hey, this is spam, you could click this button and report it as spam. If I do want to get messages from SolarWinds MSP going forward, I could release that message or permit the sender or permit the domain. Permitting the sender or permitting the domain, again, that's the whitelist and blacklist option that we were talking about. Here is the thumbs down is where you could actually block those messages. Excuse me. Going further, say for example, I allowed a sender or I allowed a domain. I clicked the wrong button. I meant to block them, but I actually allowed them. What do? Well, you could call the service desk and have one of our guys kind of sort through this and find and correct the issue for you, or you could take care of it yourself. And the way you would do that is through this Manage Senders section. So this is where you can see your blocked senders, your permitted senders, as well as auto permitted. Those are usually put in, just by the administrators when you first get into, when you're first onboarded with Mimecast. But so in this case, you could view, on my screen here, I'm viewing all of the permitted senders. So these are all the whitelisted senders that will come through. Again, as long as there's nothing malicious in that email, Mimecast is still going to check for viruses and malicious links and things like that. But if someone's on there and I'm like, hey, I meant to block them, you could see that email address and you could just select the button to block and they'll move over to the blocked list instead. Or you want to just remove them and say, hey, I'll let them slide, I'll get an email or I'll see them showing up in my on hold messages, from now on, and I'll decide later if I want to just fully block them or fully allow them. And then finally, if you just want, say for example, you just signed up for a new bank account and you want to make sure that the account statements come through, or you're waiting on a registration email or something, you could go in here and click this Add Permitted button. You don't have to have an email to right click and choose to allow or deny. You could add that sender yourself by clicking Add Permitted. And when you do, this will pop up a little window here where you can put in the domain that you want to add, or excuse me, a sender that you want to add, and they'll show up in this list. And then you click permit, and boom, they're on your permitted list. And going forward, again, assuming that there are no malicious emails, there's no malicious content in that email, that'll come right through to your inbox, and you won't have to worry about calling us to ask to unblock something. All right, so those are the two kind of I won't say easy methods. They're easy, but I guess the two kind of baseline options that you have to be able to manage your Mimecast emails. This is the bonus content. This is the good stuff. This will save you a bunch of time and hopefully turn you into that power user, like I said in Maria's little promo for this. And the way you do that is to install the Mimecast for Outlook add-in. So this is a little app that just runs in Outlook and kind of gives you access to a lot of these features right out of the gate without having to log into a separate portal or anything like that. So how do you do it? First, you go to community.mimecast.com/s/mimecast-4-outlook, or the easy way is just simply Google Mimecast plugin. It's the top result, and you should be able to find that pretty easily. Download and install your choice, the 32 or 64-bit client. Most folks are going to use a 64-bit client, but again, that's up to you. I'm not going to take you through how to install software. This is just like any other application that you've installed on your computer before. Hopefully you're fairly familiar with it. If not, obviously give us a call at the service desk and we can certainly help you out with that. And then step 3 is just immediately become the envy of all your friends. I mean, trust me, I've installed add-ons before, and I mean, everyone wants to be my friend at that point. They all want to be near me. You get used to it. Don't worry about it. It's all going to be good. So how do we use it? You'll notice that once you've installed this plugin, if you right click on an email, you actually end up with this little section of content here at the bottom that allows you just some real quick options to be able to do things. So I right clicked on that same webinar reminder email, and I could choose to block that sender's address, block that sender's domain. That goes into the allowed or denied list that we were talking about in the previous section. This is all the normal stuff you'd expect to see. This only shows up, again, if you've installed the Mimecast plugin. Another thing you'll notice is at the top of your Outlook, there's a Mimecast tab now. And if you click on it, here are the options that you're presented with. So the email that you've got selected, you have the ability to report that message as spam. You could block that sender. They don't give you the ability to right from this button whitelist someone, but you could go into your managed senders and add someone to that. You could view your on hold messages. And then finally, go to your online inbox. So again, this is that message continuity that we were talking about. You could click this button, and what'll happen is it'll pop up this guy here. You see it says Mimecast for Outlook. This is not your web browser anymore. It just automatically opens this application where you can see and view and interact with all of your emails in Mimecast. And you'll notice you've got the same options up here. You can choose to block that message. You could choose to report it as spam. But the cool thing again is this is a very quick way to, if you're told, hey, my exchange, our exchange server is down, we're working on it, it'll be up hopefully in an hour. You could click this online inbox here directly from your Outlook, and that would take you to this portal to be able to start sending and receiving emails again and keep your business flowing. You'll notice on the side here, we've got really the same types of options that you saw in the Mimecast portal. You can view the messages that are on hold. You could manage your senders and block and allow senders from here. It's really a pretty powerful tool. And one of the bonuses that I think is probably one of the most valuable things about the Mimecast plugin is rather than having to wait for that email that you receive at set intervals throughout the day, the Mimecast plugin will actually pop up a little flag in your system tray, letting you know right away that you have a new message that came in and it was put on hold. This is essential. I mean, it's a great tool when, again, you're working with a vendor, you're working with someone, and you know they're sending something through, and you haven't gotten it yet. Ideally, you'd be able to know right away. Oh, I saw that you sent it over, and I saw that it got blocked. You could click that message and view what message just came. I'm sorry, you could click this little banner here and immediately view the message that came through and got blocked. So really, really handy. All right, so there's a couple of gotchas you have to remember with the Mimecast plugin. It's not perfect, but we want to make sure that you understand that this is not meant to be used in on shared machines, so RDS or terminal servers, things like that. Maybe like a nursing station that multiple nurses log into, that can sometimes cause problems. Your personal machine, your laptop at home, the machine you use to remote into RDS or these terminal servers, that's a perfect place to install the Mimecast plugin. Just don't put it on the server itself. That can sometimes cause a problem. Also, please know that when you change your password, the Mimecast plugin doesn't automatically get that password change. So you'll need to go in and actually change that password. The cool thing about that is it makes it really easy for you. When you change your password, you'll get this pop-up here saying, hey, authentication failed, the credentials aren't valid. You literally just click on that banner and it opens up this little place where you can put in your new password and get everything syncing back up. So real easy, nice way to manage that. Hopefully it doesn't give you any trouble. Again, if you ever run into any issues though, maybe the password's not updating properly, you can give us a call and we'll help you out. All right, so that's the presentation. Little Q&A time. It looks like I will go ahead and again, email questions in if you have them now and they, for whatever reason, didn't show up here. I do see one question here. Tim asks, how easy is it for the end user to release their own email? Does Mimecast send an email quarantine email to those users when an email is caught in the filter? Yeah, so that's kind of what we were going through here. It's really easy when you're in the Mimecast portal, and it's even easier when you're using the Mimecast add-in. So you could, any user could go in and just view those emails and click that release button. And in the absence of using the portal or the Mimecast add-in, you'll still receive those notifications every single day at set intervals saying, here's the messages that were blocked. Would you like to release an email here? You click the button and it comes right through to your inbox. So let's see. Thank you for that question, Tim. And double check my email here. Looks like that was the only question. So thank you, Tim, for sending that in. I appreciate it. Again, if you think of anything that you'd just like more information on, please feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have on this. And with that, I will go ahead and mention that the next webinar is on October 15th, also a Thursday at 10 a.m. And that webinar is Troy Taylor. So he's probably the nicest and most helpful guy you'll ever meet at Acropolis. He's like the Mr. Rogers of Acropolis. So he'll be presenting on two-factor authentication. You won't want to miss it. Oh, I see another question came through. So Anonymous asked, do you have to be an administrator to install the plugin? Also, how do you know if you need the 32-bit or 64-bit client? In some cases, you may need to be an administrator on your machine to install the plugin. So if you're having trouble with that, you go to it's not uncommon for organizations to block the ability to install applications on corporate machines. If you're having trouble with that, please give us a call and we'd be happy to assist you in getting that plugin installed. In some cases, you may be able to install it just fine on your own. The 32 or 64-bit client usually is based on the operating system that you're running. Most operating systems these days are 64-bit, so you shouldn't have a problem selecting 64-bit in most cases. Again, if you're confused, if you've tried something and it, oftentimes you'll get a notification that says you're trying to install a 32-bit application on a 64-bit operating system. Please install the 64-bit version. Makes it real easy to let you know kind of what you should be doing. But again, if you have trouble, let us know. We're always happy to help you. But really, by design, I think they made it pretty easy. So again, next webinar, thank you for that question, Anonymous. Next webinar is just under a month from now. It's Troy Taylor, two-factor authentication, which is huge. Again, I'm a security guy, so I love that we're pushing more information on that. And with that, I will go ahead and wrap it up. Here's my contact information again, and please feel free to reach out to me anytime you have any questions. Thanks a lot.